Red button's clicked. All right, we're recording. We're back. Okay. Folks, are you two fired up, Galen and Vince? I missed the first 5 minutes of the segment, tuned in to hear Galen preaching. I'm in awe. Hey, Galen, Vince, smile. What an incredible waste as far as the church and their, folks are, Ken says, hey, we don't live in Springfield, but we can start in Tallahassee. Amen. Amen. Folks are saying, hey, I'm calling people. Vincent Galen wondering since last week about the process of making sesame oil. Oops, where did that go now? Hang on, Dean had a question. Making sesame oil from the harvested seeds. And another topic, I've got to brew a batch of actively aerated compost tea and need a source from some quality balanced compost. My pile isn't well balanced. Okay, well, let's deal with these. Wondering last week about the process of making sesame oil from seeds. So how do you do that? And then how do you brew a batch of actively aerated compost tea?
The sesame seeds are passed between, here's the simple rendition, sure. 2 rollers, that mash them and feed it through. A lot of oil will drip out, but then you've got this mash. It goes into essentially a whirling basket that's called expeller pressed, and that the centrifugal action pulls out all but about 5% of the oil remains. I just bought a whole bunch of sesame seeds, not $2.25 for a pinch in a little seed packet. Went down to the Asian market. You can buy it by the pound, the black oil seeds and the white. And so I'm going to be planting several pounds of this. If you're mechanically inclined, or if you really want to do this on a village-sized scale, you're going to have to go to India or China, where all of our 19th century technology now reposits, and that's how they're feeding themselves. Last I had someone that knew China, that went back and forth, check it out. It was about $870 for a very heavy-duty cast iron sesame oil, squeezing machine. Very primitive. No doubt you can probably do it by hand or a donkey, but our little electric motor. But this is the level of technology that we need to fall back to.
Yeah.
Right now.
Because we may need it.
We need it now. We need it now. It's my gosh, 1 out of 6 Missourians are on food stamps.
I know.
And it's the United States. The United States is on food stamps, and this is by design. It's by intention. I've given you the big sweep of history and why we're expendable, and what's about to happen. The second is, yes, balanced compost. First, don't put meat in compost. It rots. Keep your meat in a harvest soldier flies, black fly larvae. They don't bite, and feed those to your chickens or feed them to your tilapia in a greenhouse situation. But meat, addition to disease, pathogens, all kinds of challenges there. The second is you're probably way too heavy loaded on kitchen and compost, kitchen stuff like this. You need a balance of coarse and fine, yellow, dried, and green, wet and dry.
Well, Dean is asking, is there a source somewhere that he can go to?
Yeah, well, after you've got the right mix, that's the first thing. If it's just all lawn clippings and kitchen scraps, you're going to have an unholy mess. You've got to put in stubble and some dirt with this. Number one, get some really good live soil, quite a bit of it, and dig that into this. It separates things, it absorbs the clay and everything, and all those little micro beasties. Then, with the right balance, you don't need anything more than some really good, rich, living soil. If you want to take this to the super level, it's called biodynamic gardening. Rudolf Steiner, the theosophist, came up with this in the teens or the 20s. And look, some people get off into the phases of the moon and where Venus was last week, and man, I've had great crops and I didn't know any of that stuff. When my first attempt at gardening, when we started the Round Oak commune, it was a commune because simply we were everybody had their car, their jobs, and we all had our gardens. But just living together on one piece of land made you a communist back in the '60s. Yeah. Everybody went off to, one became a riverboat captain, one became, everybody just went out and became normal. But we attempted this back when I was still a teenager. And we did plant by the moon and this and that and everything. And I've got to tell you, I'm not an expert in biodynamic gardening. I will tell you that you take an inoculant, and it's usually a concentrate made out of all the good beasties you find in really fertile soil, with molasses and certain mineral balance and so forth. Where was this particular question? What state did it come from?
Dean, it's Dean Hudson, one of the best tree guys you could ever imagine. If you're looking for somebody to fall trees, let me know. Dean is your guy.
Oh, great.
He's also an arborist, but he's looking for a source. As far as growing his own, okay, cool. But for right now, is there somewhere that you know that you can get good, balanced compost that he can make the tea from?
He's wanting to get the compost.
Right.
I got you.
Is there
I'm
anywhere...
sorry I went off on
No, because
I
that was
misheard.
valuable information for people who are making compost. That was great stuff. But is there somewhere in Springfield that you're aware of, is there anybody selling wholesome compost that you're aware of that he can then buy some and make some tea out of it? By the way, just if you're wondering, the tea isn't to drink, it's to spray on his garden in case somebody's out there going, what?
And worm tea also.
Yeah.
That's another huge nutrient that you put usually around your plants. The one source that we're using is the Black Oak Compost Company.
I've heard of them.
Black Oak, It's Alan Chappell. It's actually Rule's brother.
Right.
He helped set up the city's compost, and I guess they had a deal, and he's no longer involved in that, and he went to Kansas City.
Look it up, Black Oak Compost Company.
Black Oak, and sorry, Dean, I don't even have the number. I'd have to connect you with that.
Oh, he's smart. Dean's a bright guy. He'll find it.
Or get a hold of me. I'll put you in touch. Here's the thing. We ordered 3 loads and have got 1. I talked to Curtis the other day, who runs this, and Scott Curtis. They have the volume of orders over last year is 100% up. And that's why we put this in February.
And you only got 1 load of the 3 you asked for.
It's mostly, they'll honor that. He was just telling me it's scarce and he's been holding on to it. It's been more about getting into the fields.
Sure.
And it's just been money.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. And guys, if these waves keep coming for a few more weeks, this might be a summer without a harvest. Eastern Texas and all the way up is flooded. Western Texas and the grain belt of Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Kansas is wiped out. We are wheat rust. UG 99. I'm not making it up. It's Los Angeles Times, April 19th, 2008 or 9.
Yeah, it's wiping out the wheat in Africa.
One crazy man sends a package over here. You don't need Armageddon, guys. That's Armageddon. You can do it for $500.
Well, the Book of Revelation says that we'll pay a day's wages for or enough wheat to make a loaf of bread. Look, Africa is being wiped out by wheat rust right now.
Yeah.
Australia's been wiped out by drought.
Yep.
Russia, drought. Canada,
a third of China's wheat.
Canada, too much rain. They've got 10%, 15%. They usually have 75% in. Similar statistics for Ohio and other places that grow the soft wheat. Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, maybe 20% of the crop's going to come in. It's wiped out.
Yes.
So everywhere you look around the world, of all places to be hit by drought, the United Kingdom. 20% of the world's wheat comes from Europe this year, devastated. Because of drought in Europe, the crop there is devastated. There isn't going to be that much wheat to go around 12 to 18 months from now. So we're looking at a real big problem. So anyway, we get some plants in the corner.
China produces 5 times as much wheat as the United States.
They're the world's number 1 wheat producer.
And exporter of food.
Yep.
Intentionally, deliberately, strategically, on a timetable. Our food production, our independence, our manufacturing, our wealth
it's all gone.
Has been stolen. Thank Kissinger and Nixon's little trip. You think Judas sold out? Try and understand these ideas don't originate with them. They're put in office to execute them.
Well, and I mean the hits
That's
keep
my
on coming.
opinion.
I mean Bush and Obama, neither one did anything to stop it. But
they are.
Well, I know.
As they said under Harding, it doesn't matter who is elected. We own them both.
Anyway.
We own them.
Grab those plants.
Oh,
Let's do some plants.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Enough of me. It's been a long day, and that's why I got a little head of steam.
No,
I
buddy,
couldn't
it's
make
great.
it to the rally down there for this
For the
fruit-
bunnies?
For
Yeah.
the bunnies, I'm just telling them, start growing them, give them away, make the pens out of scrap wood and chicken wire, and they should be everyone that understands what's coming. Start by example. You're plowing up your front yard. As people begin, and by the way, I'm seeing more and more gardens now starting to go in as people at least dimly grasp the concept that we are in serious trouble. But let me start with one.
All right, here we go.
And Dean, put me in touch with Dean if I can be of further service.
Sure.
Where to get that compost? I think that Curtis Millsap may sell some compost, and it is lovely.
Okay.
He's a CSA. I saw another man down there the other day. He was loading some up, and so he may be selling, and you can trust it.
Okay.
It's really good. So there's one right there.
Okay, good.
Can
What do
you
you got
see
there?
this?
Yeah,
Looks like a weed, doesn't it?
a little bit, yeah.
Like mullein or something. That's a Pirot tobacco. This is
That's a tobacco.
that's a tobacco plant. That's what a tobacco set looks
Hold
like.
that up a little, move up closer to the
Okay.
camera. So
Well, I'll just pass it to you.
Okay, can you guys, there.
Yeah. That's a
See that?
tobacco seedling, and
Neat.
greenhouse will grown,
Okay.
and I'm moving hundreds of them out, and I'm giving these to different well-fed neighbor people that are putting in big gardens.
Good.
It's for insecticide.
Right.
All right. Or if
No
you're,
smoking the tobacco. You want to brew the tea out of that.
I don't ask beyond that. Behold, He's given us all herbs and all of that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you are a responsible person. Live with it.
Deal with it.
Deal
Yep.
with it. And be poisonous. Do not have this around where somebody mistakenly is going to throw it into a salad.
Don't plant it at the end of your lettuce row.
No,
Yeah.
put something right. Yes, right. Or in your neighbor's.
Well, it does. At
lettuce
first, I thought, is that some kind of romaine you brought me or
yeah,
what?
Yeah. And but you know, it's really bad stuff.
Okay.
Like chewing tobacco,
Okay.
it will make you sick.
Not hard to grow.
It's not hard to grow once you get it to come up. You know what?
Coaxing it.
A seed tick looks big
Yeah.
compared to these seeds. I mean, motes,
Tiny. Wow.
motes.
Wow.
You sneeze and it's gone.
Wow.
You don't plant them as much as you surface sow them.
Oh, it's like, oh, what's the stuff that's a replacement for sugar? Stevia.
Stevia.
Have you ever grown stevia?
I haven't.
I've just started, and big letters, do not plant.
Right.
Spread over the soil.
Right.
Which is what I've done, and I've got a whole bunch coming up.
I'm growing two varieties. One is the Lenape, which we call the Delaware Indians. The
Okay.
Lenape, it gets just maybe a foot high, or 12 inches.
Really?
It's kind of a day-glow green, and that's the ceremonial tobacco of the Native American up in the East Coast.
Okay.
Also good insecticide. It's a nicotina. The Pirot is a Louisiana
Is that the one that
version.
grows really high?
4 foot. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think it's a Virginia burley, but it's a Pirot is like the boat, you know, the
Okay.
like jambalaya.
Sure.
You know. Now, here's one that they're familiar with. They saw the ecstatic look on my face when I had the maypop syrup. This is a maypop popping out of the ground.
Guess what happened to the 3 that I planted? My dogs ate them.
This one's for you.
Are you sure? Because I've got.
I'm not taking any of this home. This is all
okay.
for you.
Because I've got seeds in the ground again in a pot,
Yep.
praying they come up. But
All right.
bless you, thank you,
Yep.
and I'm putting barbed wire around them.
Yeah, and
And by the way, if anybody wants to buy some puppies, for God's sakes, will you please call me so I can sell the last 2 we have? They're gorgeous. They need to go to a new home, and they got to stop eating my garden. Thank you.
I have to say, those are some of the most beautiful dogs I have seen. It reminds me when I lived in Switzerland.
Oh, yeah.
In a castle.
Yeah.
And these were the dogs that
The
I have to
royalty.
say, the
Yeah.
ruling elite
Yeah.
actually keep over there. And they are, if I ever was to have a dog again, that would be it. The unbelievable.
They
animal.
are special, and seriously, if anybody's
useful. Useful.
over there, they are the world record. I believe is 2,500 pounds that they pull on a cart. They pull their milk carts and everything else.
All you people that are now running out to buy and start breeding goats and rabbits that I told you about,
Yeah.
you're going to need one of these dogs.
Exactly, they're herding dogs too. So
One more.
okay, so we got a maypop. We got a. Now what the heck is that?
Well, I took a corner a little too fast.
Yeah, that's all right.
Just saying. This is a deep woodland. I tied
alive.
it.
It's
It's
good.
alive.
It's
It was being really wind whipped. I was gone all day. I tied some grass around it to hold it up.
Right.
As you see, if you look carefully, you'll see that one stalk. That's a plant. It has 2 leaves. This is a plant with 2 leaves. There's more than one.
Oh,
in there.
hey, can you see that? Do you see that in the middle?
Yep.
Do you guys see that? That's not a illusion. That leaf that's shaking, the big one on the bottom, it's got a little leaf in it. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
You see that? Okay.
Yeah.
What the heck am I looking at?
That's the flower bud. You're looking at golden seal.
Okay, let's put this down.
This is from the deep woods here in Missouri.
Okay, now I've heard of golden seal, but I forget what the heck it's used for.
Many things. If I had one herb, just one, for antiseptic purposes, for topical antiseptic. When you get a
Really?
cut or scratch, imagine it's not just food that's not coming in.
Right.
And you may notice how they're eliminating many, many major pharmaceuticals. All kinds of things
There's all kinds
are
of
disappearing.
stories about drug shortages, hospitals screaming.
They're intentional. The anesthetic, all the Germans own the pharmaceutical companies, guys. 6, 7 years ago, you could go in Walmart and get all the amino acids, tryptophan, lysine, arginine, gone.
Can't get it anymore.
You
Yeah.
can't get it. It will take a prescription to get vitamin C.
Well, thanks to
Under
Codex
Codex
Alimentarius.
Alimentarius.
Yeah.
Now that you're helpless and can't grow your own food and don't even know where it comes from, the extraction is going to go until you have nothing left, and then bye-bye. But this one grows in deep, undisturbed woods, well-drained, cool, shaded woods. It'll grow on the north side of your house and in shaded parts of your... Get seeds, internet. Don't run out and tear up the woods trying to find them. In many places, it's endangered or eliminated because we carry the disease with us, and if we see one, we want to make money on them all, and we rip them up. I say we, the people, because we're out of control.
I could grow them under my cypress tree where I have the...
Yeah,
The-
and they spread beautifully.
Cool.
The price had gotten up to $45, $50 a pound, but they're very small, little things with little bright yellow roots. And it is...
Hold it.
Bitter.
$45 or $50 a pound for buying the processed golden seal?
Yeah, the roots were selling for that. It dropped down to 15 and maybe up to 20, 25. You can grow them under shade cloth. You can grow them in your backyard. It's not so much how much you're going to make off from this. Don't go
You
into
need
that.
them.
You need them growing
As an
there.
antiseptic.
Other than true poppies, opium poppies, if you're worried about your lack of control, we'll put them in the hands of the doc who's got a license to kill, and then he can grow them somewhere so that we've got painkillers, morphine. You get a compound fracture and your femur sticking out through your legs, guys,
It
and
hurts.
aspirin ain't going to cut this.
Yeah.
And we're not the kind of people that can just chew a bullet and say, I'll shove it back in, or I'll do it myself if you can't get here in time. We're adolescents. We cry when things happen to us rather than fix them or make it ourselves. To turn this all around requires the kind of multiple skills and toughness that people that till the land have. That PhD lack. And every little step you do, putting in a carrot in that yard, putting in golden seal or anything, it feels so good beyond what you get out of it because you are self-empowering yourself back to that point where you can live on the world on its terms, not ours, that we impose at it, with the Creator's plan in mind and the grace that would flow. This I believe because I believe in redemption. I'm working on that part of it myself. I truly believe, a great man said, take one step to God, and God turns and takes 10 steps toward you. If we, the people, will simply realize that food is wealth, and that the household and the training and the relationship to that women are equal partners in that, and the repository of all of the knowledge of how to give us that base, then with courage, conviction and boldness go out and let your native talents then blossom, Some will never want to leave the land. They understand the greatness of that. They understand that all of the rest of us are leaning on the man who leans on the plow. And 100 years ago, when a farmer walked into this town, it was with his head held high. He was the best paid individual, not just in Missouri, across the United States. His children were proud, happy, fiercely independent, and patriot farmers held this country together right up until Kaiser Wilhelm's Prussian model of education. That's the one we're under, guys. Sig Heil, y'all. For those that you don't understand history, go back and look at this, or we can have some phone. I wish, we would get a little more exchange on these things. It's not
really
like I'm just a self-educated woodsman. Look at my tooth-to-head ratio. I didn't get this out of college. I've had to find out all of this on my own struggle to try to figure out why we live with such perversion at every level, and none of the answers make sense or add up. Why we're being robbed blind, and why the most worthy of people, the ones that feed us, are the last remaining group you can criticize and denigrate without having a knock on the door from the FBI. Doofus, clodhopper, yokel, on and on and on. That's state-sponsored education. It is prejudiced against the landsmen, our countrymen, so that the city, it's not just Jerusalem that slays the prophets. Every city slays the prophets. They come from the country. They come in to tell you the truth and give you true perspective. And by the way, there's a guy up there, or a supreme being, that has a plan, and that ain't it. And you need to wake up. They stone the prophets. They call them crazy. In our day and age, we're so far gone, they don't even care.